Rev up your engines!
Well, in case you might be confused by the new Toyota Tundra Hybrid truck, you might think, oh, it's going to get phenomenal gas mileage because it's a hybrid. You're going to be wrong there. The hybrid system that a Toyota truck is using is completely different than the system, say, they use in a Prius. The Prius system is made for higher gas mileage, just like the Toyota Sienna hybrid van. It's made for gas mileage. They have little bitty four-cylinder engines, special electric boost that makes it get the best gas mileage possible. My son's got a Sienna hybrid van. He gets 30-something miles a gallon, which is insane for a van, right? But the Toyota Tundras, the hybrid system is more for power. It's made to maximize power because it's a big truck. They made a hybrid Toyota Tundra. It's going to get phenomenal gas mileage. No, it won't, because it's a completely different design. It's just like the Europeans have been making hybrid fancy cars for a long time. Audi, different companies, right? But that's for power, to make them fast. They don't get phenomenal gas mileage. Take a Formula One race car. They've been hybrid for quite some time. And that's strictly for power. Those things still get like 5 miles a gallon or something, but they go 200-something miles an hour. That's all for power. And the Toyota Tundra pickup, that is a hybrid, that's what it's made for. It's a completely different setup. So don't be mistaken and think, oh, I'll get a Toyota Tundra hybrid pickup. It won't get very good gas mileage. The hybrid system is mainly for extra power. And one of the reasons they put them in is because they always had those V8 engines in the Tundras, which I like. They went to the V6 and turboed it, and yeah, it had more power and stuff, but it did not have the torque. And when you add the hybrid to the V6 engine, that gives a lot of torque. The hybrid Tundra puts out 583 pound-feet of torque. The regular Tundra, that's not a hybrid, only puts out 479 pound-feet of torque. So you get a lot more pulling power with the hybrid model than you do with the non-hybrid Tundra. I'm not a fan of the V6 turbocharged ones, basic, really, but understand, you're not going to get phenomenal gas mileage if you buy a Tundra hybrid. That's more for power, not for gas mileage. Triton 84 says, Scotty, my long-term fuel trim is adding 14% at idle. It drops when I rev it up, but I don't hear any vacuum leaks. 2013 Chevy Trax. Once you rev it up, it drops. Well, that pretty much tells you have some kind of a vacuum leak somewhere, or you got weak fuel injectors. When the car's just idling, they're not spraying enough gas, but when you rev it up and you get more suction of the engine or the intake opening, faster and faster, higher vacuum pressure sucking it in, they work better and they'll suck more fuel in. The other thing would be pressure test your fuel pump. Because if you got a weak fuel pump, when it's just sitting there ticking along, it might not be able to pump enough fuel. But once you get the engine going fast and the alternator's charging more, it could give the pump more electricity and it might pump better. Plus, also check the battery and alternator. Because if they're weak at idle, pump's not getting enough power, but once you rev it up, it does. I've seen it be as bad as the only thing wrong with a car was the stupid battery was weak, and once you revved it up, the alternator charged it enough that it ran. So check all those first. Tommy Ho says, I have clogged fuel injectors. What works to clean that you put in the tank? All right, well, the best one that I've ever found, my friend Bernie makes them in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just Google ATS fuel injector cleaner. They sell a bottle of it, and it's really strong stuff. Weird thing is, you open it up, it smells like turpentine. And Bernie doesn't use what other people did. He and his partner use these fancy computers at Sandia Laboratory, where the guy works, and spent years figuring out what kind of carbon builds up in an engine. He finds out there's actually 3 different kinds, and what kind of a cleaner cleans it. So his isn't even that PEA nitrogen-based cleaner. It's completely different one, and I've had fantastic luck using that stuff. Try it out, ATS. Just Google ATS cleaner, and you can buy a can and see what happens. I've had very good luck with that stuff. And from my experience, if you want it to work best, put it in when you got maybe 1/3 of a tank of gas, and then drive it till it gets low. It's more concentrated, and it'll work better. And what you want to do is, you don't want to use it all at once. You want to drive it a little, shut it off, and let it hot soak. That helps clean them. Then do it again, and do it over the course of days. Sage Hippolyte says, Hey Scotty, got no 6 Toyota Yaris, burns 2 times more gas than it's supposed to, but the car doesn't have any misfires to check engine codes. What could be causing it? It's 16 years old. The first thing I would do, because they do wear out over time, clean the mass airflow sensor. I got a video. If that didn't help it, I would say, what the heck? I'd buy another one, because they do wear out. Change the air filter too, change the mass airflow sensor. A lot of times, that's the whole problem. That's not the problem. I would pay a mechanic like myself, since said it runs okay, but it's just getting horrible gas mileage. I would pay a mechanic to pressure clean the fuel injection system. The guys that I know, I talked to you about ATS in Albuquerque, well, they have a machine. You're not going to buy the machine. It costs like $5,000. It is hooked up by a mechanic to your car, and it will clean your fuel injectors. It does a fantastic job. It takes about an hour. You pay a mechanic with a machine like that to clean it then, because old fuel injectors spray wrong. A brand new one sprays an upside down cone. It's conical shaped and it's upside down. Little on the top, big on the bottom, like Christmas tree. As they age, they start, some of them have 6, 8 little holes, and they start spitting and dripping, and they get crappy gas mileage then because it's not atomized correctly. A lot of times you can just clean them. Now, sometimes you got to replace them, but that is a Toyota product. And normally the cleaning will fix that problem if it's the injectors. Old man gave it to Scott. If you had to buy an American car under 15 grand, what car would it be? Well, one, it would have to be a used car because they don't sell any cars that cheap anymore. They got rid of that Chevy that was the Daihatsu made in Korea. They don't sell them. They're not going to sell them anymore. I would say if it was under 15 grand and it was going to be an American car, I wouldn't buy an American car. I would buy the Ford pickup truck. I get a V8 Ford pickup truck used. They can run quite some time. They're pretty well made, you know. But it wouldn't be a car. I'd buy a pickup truck because they're much more solid made than the cars. Ford only makes the Mustang. That's the only car they got left. Everything else is trucks and SUVs, so kind of tells you something. JT Archer says, Scotty, what's your opinion on the Canyon, Colorado diesel trucks? Well, you know, I find them pretty impressive. Guy brought one over. He was pulling his little camper trailer. Well, net little, had air conditioning, have AC, heat, beds, everything in it. It was kind of cool. That little Canyon truck, the diesel, he was getting 35 miles a gallon driving a truck on the highway, and he was getting like 25 pulling his trailer, and that's really good gas mileage. Right? But here's the thing. He had the diesel engine that was the Isuzu diesel engine. And I do believe they're either going to or they've just started building diesel engines for them here in the United States. So I wouldn't buy one of those because it's new. And GM in their history of making diesel engines pretty crappy because those engines they're buying from other people. They're not making them themselves. And they're making them themselves now. I would not want to be a guinea pig and try out a new diesel engine made in the United States. I just wouldn't. I'd wait years to see if those ones hold up or not because all the diesel engines I've seen GM make, they weren't that great. And the one that's in the earlier Canyon stuff and the Isuzu diesel engine, they're well made. David Stromberg said, Scotty, why did my 2016 Camry Hybrid miles to empty indicator change? When it was new, I'd fill it up and it said 520 miles. Now it reached 475 miles to empty. What's up with that? I can tell you what's up with it. Your hybrid battery is wearing out. And people don't understand. They think, oh, great, it's a battery. It'll last forever. No, it won't. It loses a percentage of its power. When you said miles to empty, it was originally 520. That's 520 miles of your gasoline and your hybrid battery and electric motor. And since now, 45 miles less, that means that your battery has lost 45 miles of its capability. That's what it means. And that's typical. You know, that's a 6-year-old hybrid. And the batteries get weak over time. My cameras, I use lithium ion in my Panasonic that I film on my YouTube videos with. I'm lucky if I get 3 years out of those before they start crapping out and draining fast. Or I had one the other day that started on fire. Wasn't made that well. And it wrecked my charger too. Didn't hurt anything else because I charge them on a granite countertop, and all it would do would be just, you know, maybe put a stain on it. But they don't last forever, and then you lose a percentage of how long you can drive them. Well, Mercedes-Benz and Geely, the big Chinese company, are hooking up together, looking to get another $1 billion in investment to really mass produce the smart car as an electrified vehicle, to have its own brand. Now, I have driven the electric smart car. Guy in Houston had one, and I was rather impressed. Little bitty electric car. It was kind of fun to drive around. Little city, interurban thing. But here's the hilarious thing. The world is definitely upside down. The way they're setting this deal up, the smart car deal, you know, originally they were a Mercedes product. They're saying that Mercedes designed the style of it, but the Chinese are going to do the engineering technology behind it. Listen, people, this is backwards. Everybody always knows the Germans were really good at engineering and design, right? They might have over-engineered it, but they had really good engineers. Their problem was style wasn't their forte. Well, now, Mercedes can style it, but we're going to have the Chinese do the technology and build them. Of course, when it comes down to it, they want to make them cheaper, so they're going to be making them in China. They're not going to be making them in Germany or in Europe or in France. They're going to be making them in China because it's cheaper to make them there. And of course, there is a tremendous market for small electric cars in China. I mean, you see all those people riding bicycles around and then motorcycles, then little electric bicycles. As they go up in status, they're going to want cars. Well, a small electric car is kind of perfect for China. So this is more a Chinese move than a worldwide move. But I just found it amazingly hilarious that they say, well, the Germans are going to control the style, but the Chinese are going to do the engineering and design. And of course, they're going to do the manufacturing of it too. Yes, the world has officially turned itself on its head. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.